Hey guys, TommyBryson here, and every single month I add bonds to my portfolio, meaning every single month I'm buying bonds, even though right now I'm still in my 20s. And everyone thinks like, hey Tommy, the only times you go out there and buy bonds when you're actually getting older and you're about to retire. But in reality, that's not true. And here's why I like actually buying bonds. Reason A, okay? I like bonds because basically it helps my portfolio actually stay balanced. B, I get paid every single month passive income by investing into my bonds. And if you ask me, that is pretty solid. So in this video right here, guys, I'm going to tell you 3 reasons why I still buy bonds. And on top of that, I'm going to tell you exactly what ratio should you own when it comes to bonds and also your age. And on top of that, I'm also going to tell you exactly what bonds I also own to actually get paid every single month. And by the way, I post videos on this channel every single day, so make sure to also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. And on top of that, also destroy the like button. Now, before I tell you the 3 reasons why I invest into bonds every single month, well, let me tell you this one thing first, okay, guys? If you are younger than 40 years old and you have, for example, 50-50 with bonds and stocks or 80-20 with bonds and stocks, in reality, you're cheating yourself a ton. There is no reason why you need 80% bonds and then 20% stocks. In reality, you are cheating yourself out of a lot of gains. And by the end of this video, I will tell you exactly what the ratio I have compared to my age and how much bonds I actually have in my portfolio and also how much stocks I actually have. That way you know exactly, well, at what age and how much bonds should I have in my portfolio. I'll tell you guys everything, so stick around to the end of this video. Now, here are the 3 reasons why I buy bonds every single month and add them to my portfolio. And reason number 1, guys, is basically by having stocks and bonds in one portfolio, it's kind of like having a seesaw. When one goes up, the other one goes down. When one goes down, the other one goes up. So it kind of keeps everything balanced. So in a sense, when the stock market goes up, or stocks go up in this case, the bonds tend to actually go down. When the bonds go up, the stock market also tends to go down. But the answer is, you're probably wondering, Tommy, why exactly does this happen? Well, in reality, guys, as you probably know, bonds tend to have a way lower return in the stock market. And the reason is because it's safer. So safer an investment is, usually the lower the return you're actually going to get. So for example, guys, when the stock market is soaring and everyone is like on bull mode and everyone's buying and buying and buying because the returns are looking so good, well, no one is actually going out there and buying bonds. Some people are, but most people are not. They're investing most of their money basically into stocks because everything is going well. However, when things are going sideways and the stock market is crashing, in reality, people tend to put their money into bonds, which basically means usually the bonds tend to retain their value and sometimes even tend to actually go up. And that way, everything stays balanced. One goes up, one goes down, one goes down, one goes up. And that's what you actually want to have. You want to have a balanced portfolio, so that way you don't have, for example, a 30% loss in your portfolio, because if you have bonds, it kind of stays everything like this, okay? And by the way, when the crash actually happened back in March, my portfolio didn't really take a massive hit because, again, I had bonds and my bonds retained this value even when the stocks I actually had actually went down. And that's why, number 1, that's why I like having bonds in my portfolio. It keeps everything balanced and I actually like that. But obviously, guys, there's a lot more that goes into play about the price of a bond, because basically you also have to think about interest rates, but that's another video for another day. And now, guys, the second reason I actually like having bonds in my portfolio is because basically I can make passive income every single year, every single 6 months, or every single month, depending on the bond I actually buy. And as you guys probably know, okay, whenever you actually go out there and you actually buy a bond, what you're actually doing is kind of like lending money to someone, for example, a corporation, or for example, an entire government in some cases. And the answer is, when you actually do this, the idea is they pay you interest on that bond. And some bonds are short term, 3 years, 5 years, and some bonds are long term, 15 years, 30 years, and depending on what you want, you can buy whatever you want, okay? If you want to go short term, you can. If you want to go long term, it's actually more risky because you never know what's going to happen, but the idea is, it is all up to you. So for example, guys, say I have $1,000 and I go out there, or say for example I have $10,000 and I go out there and I buy $10,000 worth of a short-term bond for 3 years that also pays me, for example, 3%. So the idea is, okay, once those 3 years are over, they're going to pay me back my $10,000, but in the meantime, every single year while I have that bond, in reality, they're going to pay me interest on my money. In this case, 3% every single year, like clockwork. Now, some bonds pay you, again, every single month, some pay you every single 6 months, or for example, some pay you every single year. So depending on what you want, you can choose whatever you want. And that's what I like about actually going out there and investing some bonds, because basically it gives me passive income every single month in my case. Now, you do have to remember, guys, that for example, the bond market is kind of just like the credit market. So for example, if you have a bad credit score, you're going to pay more for that loan or that credit card you actually have. Same for bonds. If you have, for example, a AAA bond, it means you have a great bond, but it also means that you're going to get a lower return on that bond right there, because it's kind of guaranteed to actually get your money back. If you have a BBB bond, you're going to get paid a little bit more money, because basically it's an average credit score in the bond world. However, if you have anything below a BB, in reality, those are called junk bonds, meaning that although you might get a lot more money for your money, well, you also have a lot more risk, because again, if someone defaults and you can't get paid back your money, well, that is the risk of the bond market and also the stock market and also every single investment out there. It's just not these investments right here, okay? Everything has risk. However, if you want to make sure your money is not at risk, try not to ever go for junk bonds and stay at AAA, and that way you're good to go, you're solid, and you don't have to worry about somebody defaulting on your money, because the risk is actually going to be very, very minimal. But again, guys, just to remind you, okay, interest rates also play a big part in how the bond market works. So if you have a bond, for example, pays you 3% interest rate, and then the interest rate actually changes to like 6% or 5%, in reality, your bond can become less valuable. So the longer your bond actually is for, 15 to 30 years, the more likely things are actually to change. So be careful and make sure you understand exactly what type of bond you're going to buy. Short term, long term, it all depends on what you're actually interested in, and it also depends on your risk level. So always keep that in mind. And by the way, back in like the 1920s or something like that, they used to pay like 15% on bonds. Isn't that crazy? I wish. But then again, we're not in the 1920s anymore. But I'm just saying. Now, the third reason I actually like having bonds in my portfolio is because basically you get paid first. Now, Tommy, what does this mean? Well, in reality, people don't understand that basically whenever you invest into a company, for example, like Apple, where's my phone? I don't know where my phone is, guys, okay? But here's my phone right here. Whenever you invest into a company, for example, like Apple, well, in reality, if Apple were to go bankrupt, the last people to actually get paid once they sell off everything they actually have, liquidate a company, are actually the common stock holders. But in reality, they pay the secured bond holders actually first. So if you have bonds in Apple, in reality, you will get paid first. And that's actually a good thing, because basically it means you're more likely to get your money back. However, if you're a common stock holder, the odds of getting your money back are actually a lot lower. You probably won't get anything back. But being a bond holder basically means you will get paid first. And that's another reason I like also investing into bonds. But then again, I don't really invest into junk bonds, so I don't really care about that. I only invest into like AAA or like BBB. So always keep that in mind. And now, lastly, guys, you're probably wondering, tell me, what bonds do you actually invest into, and how do you go out there and actually buy those bonds? Well, the answer is, guys, I don't invest into a single bond, not like, oh, let me pick this one or that one. In reality, I use an app called Acorns. And what I do is I buy an ETF filled with different bonds, and that way I have even more diversification when it comes to me actually going out there and buying a bond. Currently, right now, I invest 20% of my income, or 20% of my investment income, into bonds. So not like 80%. No, I invest 20% of my investment income into bonds. The two bonds I invest into are basically two ETF. The first one is for Treasury short-term bonds, okay, between 1 to 3 years, and the ticker symbol is SHY. You can look it up if you want to, or for example, you get the Acorns app, link down below, and that way you can invest into it automatically without having to worry about anything. And you also get paid every single month. But in my case, all I do is when I get paid, I have the money being reinvested, and that way I make even more money in the long term. The second ETF bond that I actually invest into are actually corporate bonds, and the ticker symbol for that one is actually LQD. Again, I do all of this with Acorns. So again, my portfolio is 80% stocks or stock ETF, and then 20% ETFs, bonds, okay? That's what I do. I don't go, for example, 50-50 because again, I'm still currently young. So it depends on exactly how old you actually are and also your risk tolerance. Now, Tommy, how much should I invest based on my age? The answer is I like the rule set by John C. Bogle, and the rule is basically what you do is you invest whatever age you actually are and you put that into, for example, bonds. For example, if you're 23, 23% into bonds. If you're 40, 40% into bonds. Whatever it is, you do it like that, okay? But some people do like 50-50. It just depends what you want to do. But what I did is basically I put a twist on it and I basically said, well, if I'm in my 20s, I'll do 20%. In my 30s, 30%. 40s, 40%, and so on, and so on, and so on. That's what I currently do. But overall, guys, again, what I do is I invest into 2 ETFs that are made out of bonds, okay? Corporate and also treasury bonds. And the ticker symbols are LQD and also SHY. You can find them on Acorns, you can find them on Robinhood, you can find them on Yahoo Finance. Anywhere you go, just type those in, and also link down below to Acorns and also everything I said in this video. I'll see you guys next time. Comment down below, let me know. Are you going to add bonds to your portfolio or not? Comment down below, let me know. And as always, if you enjoyed this video right here, guys, well, like this video. Also, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. On top of that, subscribe to my second channel called Tommy Bryson Show, link down below, and follow me on Tommy Bryson. And before I go, if you want to watch a full video on the basics of investing and how I invest, basically, here it is right here. Click my face right around. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and as always, peace.